fantastic. Good to see you. Got it. Okay, good. So welcome everybody to LinkedIn for Breakfast. Fantastic to see you here. The whole point of what we do on these sessions is to help you get your phone ringing and inbox pinging with inquiries from the world's largest professional network. That is LinkedIn, my friends. And so we love to go deep here and share some cool stuff and do it all while wearing flowery shirts and having fun. So that's the whole point, right? So just share my screen and hit you up with an agenda. Okay. So mission statement. I think it's always important to let you know why do I do this? We want to make LinkedIn for Breakfast the best free place, totally free online where people can come to and look at how LinkedIn works in terms of business development and brand expansion. So we do these sessions every Wednesday at 9 o'clock. And we also have this amazing community, LinkedIn for Breakfast, which my wonderful Flora will be adding, I'm sure, as I speak, the link to this community in the chat for you guys. If you're not in this, where have you been? This is a great community where we'll share the replays of this. I'm going to share some swipe files from today's session in this community so you can get a lot of help and support from it. Cool. Okay, so let's start off with a little bit of a nod towards some data that LinkedIn gives us to actually help us to realize what it is that we should be looking at when it comes to LinkedIn profiles, right? And they give us a free opportunity to measure our social selling index, our SSI score. And if LinkedIn themselves are giving us a score, then we should probably think about it. We should probably stand up and pay attention. And so I want you all just to go onto this link here, and I'll just chuck this into the chat now. And just work out what your SSI score is. It's totally free. You don't need to have Sales Navigator or anything like this to actually run this. And it's going into the chat now. Click on this link here that's gone into the chat and find out what your SSI score is. And it's quite nice for people who've been on this session previously. It's also quite nice to kind of benchmark where you were before and actually where you are now. So maybe make a note of this. And maybe also comment in the chat, what is your SSI score? So this is mine. So I think 76 is my SSI score. So it's not as good. It's actually come down a little bit. They've actually done a little bit of an update to this. A few people, certainly within our client group, has noticed their SSI score slightly come down. So they're making it more difficult, I think, for us to grow SSIs. So they do go up and down. But for fun, why don't you stick your score in the chat? There you go. Fantastic. So Derek is set 47, 60, 43, 41. Fantastic. Great. Make a note of this and then hopefully implement some of these ideas today to be able to improve. It's broken down into 4 key elements, and I'm going to go through those core elements. Congratulations, Steve, by the way, who's gone from 72 up to 74. Fantastic. And let's look at how we can do this. So the 4 key elements that it talks to you about SSI. One is about establishing your professional brand, right? And so what does they say about this? So what they say is that the snippet below the text, and what we're saying in short, what does it really mean? One, it's saying complete your profile with the customer in mind, right? Think about who your target audience is. Become a thought leadership by publishing meaningful posts. So instead of just spurting out God knows what else, let's actually think about who we're trying to create content for and also who is our target audience, and therefore establish our professional brand towards that audience, right? So in short, keep your profile interesting for your target audience. That's super important because then that will create more engagement, and more engagement creates better scores, right? 2, find the right people. So by using searches and identifying the right type of target audience and actually using this research tools that they provide, and this is a little bit naughty because ultimately if you use Sales Navigator or upgrade to premium of LinkedIn, your score will go up. So God, who would have thought they've gamified it? You know, the sinister corporates get us again. But the point being is your SSI does go up through this, but it brings together a bit more important point that links to number 1 is that who are we actually trying to target on LinkedIn? Who is our target audience? And actually does our target audience look like that target audience? And there's more on that in one of the other sections. The next thing is about engage with insights, right? So we want to discover and share conversation-worthy updates to create and grow relationships. So what we mean by this is we want to comment and use hashtags and actually look at the stuff that is engaging, right? So what keywords are you using? What hashtags are you using? And therefore the content, is it within your sphere of thought leadership? So you can see how they're ranking you from, is the type of people you're connecting with target audience? Is the content you're putting out meant for those target audience? Is your brand and the keywords that you're putting onto your profile, which we'll talk about later when we go a little bit deeper on the profile part, is that all relevant? And so we instead of just spraying and praying, are we being a little bit more aligned to objectives and actually having a thought process for how we're putting out content, how we're showing up on LinkedIn, right? I know these feel a bit more generic, but I'm going to pull it all together when I ask you guys when I'm going to review some of your profiles live. And then finally, build relationships, right? So we want to strengthen your network by connecting and trusting. So you want to look at actually thought leaders in your industry. So when they've got high SSI scores and you're connecting with them, then that will help you. It's kind of like an influencer type leveling up, as well as actually looking who you are connected with and how that works within your industry. So the type of people you're connected with, are you ranking high with them? Are they ranking high? And so therefore that helps your score. And is the type of content you're using doing well? I have a policy here of actually saying, I think you should disconnect with people that are not target audience. Why? Let me just jump onto the Blackboard of Truth and Justice. Let me give you a little bit of a synopsis here. Morning to everybody that is joining. I'm going to do a drawing about why you should disconnect from people who are not target audience. Because let's say you are connected with 1,000 people, right? This is your connections, right? It might be 10,000 people, might be 1,000 people, whatever, right? But actually only 100 of those people are target audience. Say I'm trying to go for accountants in the accountants plus UK plus director, right? That's my target audience. Those are the people I want to sell my coaching services to or my website development services to. And I've only got 100 of those people that are actually connected to me out of the 1,000 people. That's 10%, right? So then, if that is the case, then I want to disconnect from the others or many more to try and shift this percentage. Because if I put a post together that is something along the lines of why accountants in the UK should redevelop their website to be more mobile efficient or to have AI or whatever it is, right? That post, when I post it out and it does a reach, so LinkedIn's going to give it a bit of a reach and it's going to test it. It's going to test the waters with your following. And if only 10% of your following actually are accountants, then only 10% are going to possibly see in terms of the push it's going to give you. And then of those 10%, maybe 10% actually like it or comment. That means one person or 10 people might actually do something around this, or maybe just one person does anything around this, because they're not going to all 100 people going to be there at the same time seeing your post. So your post gets like one like, well, hey, right? And so it doesn't then get a further push into second and third degree connections with that content. It just doesn't do well. And God, how many times have you guys posted some content that doesn't do well? I know it's exactly the same. Let's flip this and actually say we've increased that 100 to actually being 500 now, and of 1,000 contacts. So we disconnect with people and we connect with more people. That means half. And so if 10% of there, now we're actually getting some more reach. And so if I'm getting more likes and more comments, then that's more people that's going to get served to their second or third, which means the post itself is going to do better. So we are creating industry specific content and we are creating industry specific audiences, which means that our reach will then go to other people that will look like our audience. And then what happens, these second and third degree people then go and connect with you, and then you're building your content, and that works. That's how content goes viral. That's how this works. And if you're giving yourself, if you're handicapping yourself at the start by only having a small percentage that are right, then actually why would you ever expect your content to do well, right? Despite how many hashtags and stuff you put on it. So super, super important to align it. I've got a question from Dan, and because it's Dan, I'm going to give you the floor, Dan. Go for it. I'm sure you've got something that will enrich the conversation. Go for it.
Hey, buddy. I totally agree. On the whole, we moved out the era of followers probably around September last year when LinkedIn messed around with the algorithm and killed all our reach to the floor. Everyone's moaned about it. We're now in the era of relevance. So LinkedIn is trying to ascertain where we sit, what's relevant to us, and where are we relevant to other people. I actually target two core groups. So it's absolute common sense. Say target your ideal customers. So if you're pitching to CEOs of startup organizations, then they need to be in your network, and that's absolutely essential. But the second group is actually, in my opinion, just as powerful, if not more powerful, which is your peer group. And the reason I say that is if you're a small LinkedIn creator with maybe 1,000 followers, if you're connected to a similar LinkedIn creator, right, same target audience, they've got the same target audience as you because they're a peer to you, your content will piggyback their audience. And I do it literally every day of the week. I write a piece of content, I spot other people's audience, those second level connections, they're coming from other peers of mine. So that's point one. Point two, and I'll try and keep it short. Your peer group are actually one of the best sources of referrals. If you are going to become synonymous with your phrase in the industry or your line of business, then your peer group is seeing your content day after day after day. Let's be honest, they're the ones that actually understand it the most. They're the most likely group of people to say, hey, if you're thinking about this topic, then you probably want to go speak to Dan. So right now, if somebody mentions fractional on LinkedIn, there's a likelihood it ends up in my inbox sooner or later. And that's nothing more clever than audience borrowing from peers and hyper targeting. So being really niche in the targeting of what I'm looking for in terms of my ICP audience. That was it. I'll throw it back open.
Love it. So really it's making sure that the people that you're connected with are the type of people that are going to engage in your content, right? Be it people that might refer you because you've got a business relationship and they know you. So people maybe part of your networking groups, your breakfast networking groups, all of those sort of people will help to refer you. And then also people that are target audience, because that's what the content is meant for. That's the recipients of it. Your mates that you used to go get a couple of beers with on a Friday in your first crappy job, they might not be the best people anymore, right? They might not even be anywhere near LinkedIn. They might just be fodder that is not doing anything in your audience. It's that getting rid of all of those. That's super, super important. Right. Cool. So what we're going to move on to now is we want to actually look at your profiles. And I'm looking for a couple of volunteers for me to live review your profiles on this session right now. So if you have a profile, don't make it like a supersonic profile that you're just looking for the 3% increase, something that is just, it's not right, but you'd like to have a review. I want to share screens. I want to look at it. Dump your profile in the chat now. And let's find one of you guys to see. Now, if you don't get lucky and we don't review your profile now, then no problem. I'll give you an opportunity where you might be able to actually book a one-to-one with me to review your profile. Again, absolutely for free at the end, but stay around to the end to hear about that. Right, so let's just get a couple of these up and let's see who we've got here. And let's have a look. Perfect. Yeah, perfect. Right. Okay. So we're going to choose someone that in theory is not too bad a profile, right? And if we get time, we might go on to someone else, but we'll see because we want to linger. So Mark, you won the lottery of of being added to this. I hope that's okay, Mark, but you did add yourself to it. So you volunteered. You are my wonderful volunteer.
I'm ready. I'm ready, Richard. I'm ready.
You're ready. Good man. Good man. Right. So as we go through this, the super important thing is to kind of think about this SSI and actually think about this principle of who are we trying to target and actually what are we trying to sell to them. So give me an idea of actually who is your target audience, Mark, and what are you trying to sell to them?
That's a big question. So I'm a serial entrepreneur 10 companies. I live in Esher, by the way, so we're local.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have a book called Life Remixed. I have an Institute of Leadership approved course, 12 months to remix your life. And I also work globally with Equilibria as a business development director. So I've got multiple things that I want to sell in multiple areas. And that might be part of the problem, actually, because I have an old life as resident DJ at Ministry of Sound when I was 25, and I've got, as you can see, I've got 8,500 followers on there. But I imagine quite a lot of them are old music, well, not quite a lot, but some of them will be music people from 30 years ago. That probably I probably need to disconnect to. So I've already got that in my to-do list. But yeah, over to you.
So if you had to say, hands behind the back, around the concept of niche marketing, not your business. So yes, you do lots of things and you can sell you, but actually, if you were to go pay money for someone to go get you leads, what business and what leads and who would those leads be?
So twofold at this stage. One would be global directors of energy companies for Equilibria worldwide, which is where we've already had success over the last 25 years with Chevron and Transocean and other huge companies. So certainly high level there. And then on a personal level, my 12 months to remix your life coaching, which would be people that are looking to improve their lives in any area.
So do you see that actually if you put a post out for one and a post out for the other, that is totally confusing for anybody looking at your profile?
It can be, yeah. And I should probably look at trying to split that up, yeah.
So if you had to pick one for LinkedIn, because remember, you've got other social media platforms that potentially you could work on the other, what one would you pick?
I would suggest the Equilibria global business would be the number one.
Great. Okay. Because if you're a global director of a massive company, and then suddenly I see Mark talking about remixing life and selling coaching, does that give you a positive or a negative impression of you if you're talking about global
So
stuff?
I've had this discussion and this debate with many marketing people over the years. All marketing people will tell me to have one specific and make sure that we focus in on that one. And although I don't disagree, I've actually been very successful with multiple streams of income and multiple businesses. So it's an interesting debate. But yeah, I would think LinkedIn is more, well, absolutely my more professional network. I could sell my personal coaching more on Instagram and Facebook as an example.
There you go. Yeah. Someone runs a Facebook ads into landing page for the Remix Your Life, work your Facebook side, Instagram, totally around that, and then work your professional side on the corporate side. That's how it works. So let's take that premise. So if we're going to be doing that, then there's a few really, really important elements in here. So we've got one, when we look along here, you can see a headshot, a name, and actually a headline, right? And so what we've got here is obviously your name, nice headshot, perfect, no problem there. But you are just a jumble of keywords that doesn't read in any way. If someone tried to connect me with that, I would just think that you're very confused as a person. I'm not sure I want to connect with you. And so the whole point of this. So when we talk about actually putting together a headline, we say to clients that you want to look at a bit of a formula, which is around this kind of who and how you help, and then why they should listen. So who, in Jeremy's example here, partner with organizations to create a culture of performance and well-being so they can focus on impacting the world. So that's who and how he helps. So when he's reaching out to organizations and teeing up this with them, that makes total sense. And then why they should listen is former top 250 UK IT leader. And the reason why that's completely relevant, the why they should listen, is because the organizations he's reaching out to are IT organizations, right? So it's who and how you help, and then why you should listen. Let me just show you my one and then work through the same thing here. I'll open this in a new tab, but you can see here that we've got helping entrepreneurs. So that's who we help. Helping entrepreneurs, and then how we help sprint to $1 million in revenue. Nice and simple. Why does this has to be nice, short, and simple? Look at how little word count we've got on the right-hand side. And yes, these are shortened because it's on the right-hand side, but that's what people see. You've got to remember that this first bit, who and how you help, helping entrepreneurs sprint to a million revenue, right? That will get in here. And then the why they should listen, 3 times best-selling author, BBC Apprentice finalist, right? So those is the credibility. And I only choose those 2 pieces of credibility because they are quite relevant for the entrepreneur audience that I go for, right? And so if you were able to break that down, who you help, helping global directors do X, Y, and Z, and then you would say there's some credibility items such as worked with this. So when we talk about credibility items, we can be talking about big clients that we've worked with. We can be talking about awards that we've won, accreditations that are relevant that we've won, qualifications that are relevant that we've done, years of experience in the industry that we have. Those type of credibility elements can really help. And I know that not everybody's won awards or got accreditations, but we might have been in the industry for that long. We might have helped people. If we can add some data in there, being able to achieve a 42% uplift with over 300 clients in the past 3 years or something like that. Lovely. That sort of stuff is really, really cool. So who you help, who and how you help, why they should listen. That works really well. Now, the second thing is around your name. So and this is debatable, but I like to say my name and then my surname. My first name is Richard Woods and my surname is $1 Million Sprint Coach. Why? Because if Heather very kindly says, went to an amazing event with Richard in London, she might go at Richard. Went to an amazing event that at Richard Woods was able to produce. But actually what she'll be saying is at Richard Woods, $1 Million Sprint Coach. And when she posts that, it shows that. And people are like, well, what is $1 Million Sprint Coach? And then, of course, that interest, they then click on it and then go through and then bam, we're now into my profile. So it doesn't work for everybody. And actually, Mark, because you're going for a little bit more of a senior corporate audience, it might not be as effective depending on what you want to brand yourself. If you were going to go for your B2C audience or your B to small business audience with the life remixed, you could do something like, a life remix coach along those lines. So that could work. But I would definitely say that's got a lot of benefit because of, remember, it will come up here. So you can see Emma Knight's Green Stroke Blue, the relating thinker. That's interesting for the right people who might be interested. What is Green Stroke Blue, right? So it gives me, and it doesn't cut anything else out. It just gives me that extra bit. So
I used to actually have that. I used to say Mark Wilkinson, yellow red, the doing socializer as that, and I changed it back. I think I changed it. See, with the tick at the top, there's the verification, isn't it, on my profile? And I'm not sure that would I be allowed? Yeah, because yours says verify now. I'm not sure I'd have to change mine back, would I?
I actually don't know about changing back, but that's certainly, and the verify thing, I probably would have tried to verify. I tried to verify loads of times, but my passport doesn't work. So there you go. The bastards. The other thing we think about, gang, is header, right? So we want to back up this with a big statement. So here you're crashing into your header, and the fact that it's the Institute of Leadership approved, what is? We don't know what this is. And then we've got a few different logos in here. It's not telling me anything. So formula for headers is back up your headline with a statement. So if you're going to sprint to $1 million revenue, we're going to make it more than your hobby, right? So then backs up the statement. And then underneath, call to action. Business growth done for you. Ask me how, right? So back up your headline, work it then through. So you see how this really will help to align to your target audience, right? To work it through like that. Cool.
So I have a question. I have a question as well. So I do have a Life Remix page, but the page is they don't get a lot of engagement. I have a Hillman Associates page as well, which has probably got about 500 or 600 people connected to it. Because I am my brand essentially, and then I have all these multiple streams of income and multiple companies off there. You can only have one LinkedIn profile as the individual, can't you? It's an interesting one because ideally I'd have Mark Wilkinson, Equilibria director. I'd have Mark Wilkinson, Life Remixed author. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not exactly sure how best to manage that.
Just work on different social channels. So you're going to sell the Life Remixed through Facebook and Instagram. You're going to sell the Equilibria through LinkedIn. And you're right, because actually you can, gang. You see here how Mark's got Equilibria up here as first. You can select which order of your current businesses that you want to present. And so he's got this one in the tagline here, which works well. So great, you've got a top voice thing, contact info, Put mobile in there, email, but actually, if you've got multiple things, add your websites in there. You know, you can add links to blogs in there. You can add links to Calendly bookings in there. You can add more than one website link. And so working through. Now you've got request services here. I absolutely hate these services, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more later why. But it means that for me, I can actually have my website link that's loud and proud on my profile because I've got rid of services. I'm going to come on to that in a second, but after we talk about. So here's your about section, and your about section is what I call an opera singer. It's very much me, 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 me. And so we want to be less of an opera singer and more of a sales letter. And for everybody on this call, I've got a formula and a swipe file that Flora's going to send around to everybody on this call afterwards on how to write a great about section and using an AI prompt. We're going to send that as a bit of a training for everybody afterwards. But ultimately, what I mean by writing as a sales letter, if I go down to mine, is that we're saying here, you know, are you a business owner looking to scale to $1 million revenue? So I'm immediately talking to the person that I'm trying to attract to my profile. If so, I can help. And then I go into a bit more thought leadership. I break it up with short sentences. I use some quotes in there. I use some emojis in there. And of course, then I've got a call to action that brings them back to the links in my header because you can't make links actually work within this. So that's super important. And then I've tagged in some top skills, which helps me with my SSI because I'm adding in those keywords as top skills. So super important to do that, especially if you're going to do what I'm about to say, which is to get rid of your services. So that piece will go to. So write it like a sales letter, not a CV. At the moment, you're writing this like a CV. You're looking for clients, not a job. So write it to the client. Services. So LinkedIn have just added this service thing. I absolutely hate it. I'll tell you exactly why. You go into a really uninspiring page when you click on Mark Services here, and it goes like this. It goes, okay, that's interesting. And there's a little bit of like blurb in here, some links and something about pricing. Like, what? I don't want LinkedIn to talk about pricing. I don't want them to rate my pricing. It's just awful. And then I go, okay, well, actually, there's some life coaching in here. Okay, let's see what Mark says about life coaching. So let's click on life coaching and we wait and we think, okay, so I wonder what he's talking about life coaching. And then suddenly it serves up a search of all Mark's competitors that do life coaching. Thanks, LinkedIn. Here's a load of other people that can buy life coaching. And before you know it, I'm now talking to Jules and I'm buying from Jules, all thanks to Mark telling me that he does life serving. So it's crap. And does no purpose. And actually, the more that you fill it in, you'll realize that actually you can start requesting testimonials in that services pages. So now it's going to start to build testimonials there, as well as actually at the bottom of your profile. So now your testimonials are split between two places, and now you only get 2 or 3 there and 2 or 3 there. You just it's not doing anything that I think is of any good, and it just drops down your feature posts, which are more important. So get rid of it, right? That's my opinion. So now I go straight into my feature posts here, which you want to make sure you're putting the most important posts up here. So at the moment, you're just putting pages of a document together here on your featured posts, right? And if anybody, by the way, doesn't know how to get onto any of these things, as you scroll down, there's this button here that says add profile section. And this is where you can start to add all these things if you can't find out where to add them, right? And when you do add feature posts, you can add this plus button. Look, you can add posts, newsletters, articles, links, all of that fun stuff, right? And just remember, gang, I'm going to give you an opportunity in about 5 minutes to book a one-to-one with me so I can review all of your profiles one-to-one personally, exactly like I'm doing with Mark. So do wait to the end of this demonstration for that. One thing, and we do a session on this, I'm going to ask Flora again to circulate the notes on LinkedIn newsletters. That's super important. Why are LinkedIn newsletters and why, Mark, should you have a LinkedIn newsletter? Is that, look, it's a one-click subscribe into one LinkedIn newsletter. It's a one-click conversion when someone comes to your there. It's a button, which is super important. And if I go and show you when you go onto that LinkedIn newsletter and you set one up, it's easy, by the way, gang, to set one up. It's just basically posting articles that will automatically get sent as a newsletter. I've got a full training on it within LinkedIn for Breakfast and a swipe file. So we're going to get that to you. But why I love it so much is that, look, only I can see who subscribed to my LinkedIn newsletter. And look, there's 2,000 people in here, right? And I was laughing. I was laughing with my client group because Here's 2,000 leads that have all aggregated together, and they've made the first move. They have followed my newsletter. And so now I can then accept if they're sending me a connection request. I can send connection requests to them. If they've sent them, I can then send them messages. So I can send connection requests, and I can say things like exactly like this, like, "Hi, Jeremy, thanks for subscribing to my newsletter. How's things?" And they go, "Great." And now I'm in a conversation with Jeremy, right? And so I'm going to progress that lead because they made the first move, and then I can progress them. It's a lead generator for you that sits there passively generating subscribers. Is awesome. That's super important. But the irony is my LinkedIn for Breakfast group has about 2,000 members. And I work very hard to fill that community. Whereas my LinkedIn newsletter has exactly the same, and it just passively fills it. So the hopper. So we talk about hoppers with my client group. You've got your subscribed email list hopper, which is a volume of people that subscribe to your email list. You've got people that might subscribe to your free community hopper, and then you've got people who might subscribe to your LinkedIn newsletter hopper. These are hoppers of opportunity. These are leads. And so please progress those leads, because you should be DMing and communicating and then having that conversation with those people. Cool. So post. So I've got here free stuff, like links to free stuff, posts. That's great. Newsletters may be far better and more interactive for you, Mark, than actually just putting oh, hello, where have you gone? Putting documents in.
No, it's really interesting so far, mate. Thank you.
Or create one article that links to all of those documents. So it's one of the featured articles. Have a newsletter next to it, and then maybe have a really nice piece of thought leadership there. Right. Next thing's around content. Okay. So there's quite a lot of content going on here. What's your content strategy? Because there's a lot of reposting there.
Because we're quite a large network, we repost each other's content quite often. So I've got a VA that helps me with social media using Hootsuite. So we put out various videos and testimonials and connections and ideas. But yeah, it probably
what are you trying to gather people into? Because
we do various things. So we train people to be Equilibria and e-color trainers globally. So I would like more people to come in and use the e-colors IP in their training. So we're looking for that. And then, as I say, that's probably my priority, alongside winning those major global directors and senior people. But certainly from a perspective of my life coaching, I feel that my life coaching is for another platform. I'm feeling that more and more as we go through this conversation now. So I think gaining practitioners in Equilibria and also winning large contracts in Equilibria is the focus.
Okay, cool. So what we want to do is, when we look at any social media, we want to take people from awareness to consider to convert to deliver, right? Deliver is when they're spending money with you, happy days. Convert is when they book a sales meeting with you so that you can discuss the buying of you. Awareness is where we're actually trying to find this target audience on LinkedIn. We're connecting with them on LinkedIn. We're putting out some posts that's gaining awareness. But things about putting out posts, people are like, look at it, fine, like it or whatever. Like, it's just awareness. We got to drive them through to somewhere where they'll spend some time with you, considering you as being the thought leadership. That important thing. If all of us on this call, if you don't know what your consideration asset is, your weekly moment, we call it, the thing that you want people to gravitate to every week, and we see it as being 4 things. It can be a podcast, which people can listen to because they spend time hearing your voice and spending time with you. Could be a long form YouTube video, could be your newsletter. But the best one by far, because you don't know who listens to your podcast because all you see is downloads. You don't know who watches your videos because all you see is views. The best one by far is to create some sort of micro event, something like this. Because why? Because people register with their name, their email when they do. So they become potentially a lead. They can join your database after that. Happy days. And then when they do attend, that means that you can build a relationship. You can talk to them. You can give further information. That is them considering you, going, oh, I'm aware that Mark is something to do with, being able to help with this psychometric piece, this color piece. Okay, I see that. I'm seeing other people in his network there to actually, what has he got to say about that? What is it about this thing that might be interesting? What is his opinion on this? And I can come to this without feeling threatening that you're going to try and sell to me. It's not like let's jump on a virtual coffee because you always feel like you're going to sell to me. It's I can come to this, see if I like you, see if I thought it was of value, and then when you open the door to say, hey, let's have a conversation one-to-one, then you do it from a position of trust and they make an informed decision to do this. And so that consideration asset is so important. Have something where someone can come to, and ideally have sort of event because you can push people into it, warm them up there and pull them back out of it. Cool. So maybe have an event. It gives you a focal point. It doesn't have to be every week. You could start off by monthly or fortnightly, but just means that you can gather all of your connection activity, you can gather all your content, and the crescendo of that energy is to put on this event and then find you're getting real feet on the ground then.
So Richard, yeah, absolutely. And I've already got an idea that I could do something similar with live event. I've done a number of live events when Live Through Mix came out about 3 or 4 years ago. And we actually did them at the Isha Theatre. We did about 150 people at each one. That was great. So we're going to do more. And my second book is coming before Christmas as well. So yeah, watch out for a live event coming soon.
I like it more when I say online events like this, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, online is good, but I also like in person as well. Good,
yeah,
bit more cost, but
yeah, in person is great, you know, monthly or quarterly, but consistency online. Okay, so very quickly, just for 30 seconds, your experiences in here, great. You're adding some extra pictures in. Most people don't realize you can add actual media into this experience. It's perfect. You haven't got a page for Live Remixed because it's not showing me a logo, so you can actually set up a page for that. So that'd be good. And then I'm just going to come down to the final thing is around recommendations. So you got 10 recommendations, which is excellent. And they are, they are recent. You've recently given those recommendations. For people on here that haven't got those recommendations sorted, you will see when you're on your own profile, you can actually press the plus button. You can go ask for recommendations and you can go find people and specifically ask them for recommendations, right? And so you can go find Mark like this. I can then actually say, well, Mark, you and I haven't worked together, but we are part of LinkedIn for Breakfast, right? So we have worked with each other in the same group. What group? You know, that was LinkedIn for Breakfast group. And so I can say, could you write me a recommendation about my LinkedIn?
And I will happily do so, Richard.
Profile audit. And so you can tailor that, right? And you send it, and now bam, Mark's hopefully will get that in his inbox. He might say some kind words about this audit, which would be great. So, gang, I'm going to open it up to questions, but before I do, I offer these for free, one-to-one with people, no catch whatsoever. It gives me an opportunity to meet you guys, have a conversation. It's only for business owners because I'm not here to help you write your profile as a CV. I'm not here to help you to get jobs. I'm here to help clients scale businesses to $1 million in revenue. And so when I look at LinkedIn for Breakfast, I only want to talk to business owners because that's where my experience comes from. I have no idea about getting jobs. So if you are a business owner and you are looking to grow your online LinkedIn presence to be able to get new clients, I'm happy to spend the time for half an hour, 45 minutes, just to go through your LinkedIn profile with you, add some value. You might give me a nice review afterwards and we can get to know each other a bit better. And so in the chat now is a link to that now. So jump into there. There's not masses of them. It's myself, or it might also be with Joey, my colleague. There's two of us because we try and give a bit of extra time for you guys. They're not, there's a few in there. We've opened up a few more because obviously we're doing this session today, but they do go quickly. So jump into there, grab your LinkedIn profile audit and be more than happy to go through that. Cool. So let's open this up for some chats. I'll give the final kind of word to Mark. Anything on there, Mark, that gave any final questions? Or
well, I've got a full page of notes. Does that help, Richard? Yeah, I've got a full page of notes of things I'm going to look at, and you picked up on some really good points. And what I would suggest is that even I consider myself quite good on LinkedIn. I get a lot of people, I get a lot of connections, a lot of work through there. But even that, half hour, I'm going to book some extra time with you. And I think it's going to be useful to make it a little bit more targeted, especially with these big goals and second book coming out and stuff like that. So yeah, I found that really useful. I've been meaning to join one of these sessions for months, and I finally managed to make a gap in my diary to do it. And I'm pleased I did.
Fantastic. Well, great stuff, Mark. I do appreciate it. And yeah, hopefully that's been of value for sure.
For me, for sure, yeah.
Cool, wicked. And for others, because obviously remember that stuff should apply to you guys. I'm sure there's some familiarity in there. Gail, over to you. Could you have a chat of Brian saying he's already set up for Tuesday afternoon? Awesome. Gail, Gail, your question, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I was just struggling to get my mute off.
No problem.
Just a question. I'm setting up to run my first live event next week. Thank you, Richard.
No worries. Congratulations.
Yeah, but what I found was, now remember, I'm still on the free version of LinkedIn. What I found is that if you set up the event as I have done on my profile, I can't get the email addresses.
No.
There's no form.
No.
But if I set it up on my page, I can get email addresses, but I don't have the followers on my page that I have on my profile.
Oh, Gail, the age-old conundrum, page versus profile. So it's a really good example. So the problem is, so if I create an event on LinkedIn, I get a massive reach if I do it on my profile, and people can just one click say they're coming, but they do not have to fill in a form. The reason why LinkedIn does this is because the reason when you set it up on a page and you put a lead form in for people to subscribe, they have to click a button to say you basically fill in your cookies policy on your website. So basically you're proving a privacy GDPR-esque thing because of it, right? And so that's why LinkedIn does it, because your page can actually have a privacy policy, whereas you personally cannot. So that's why it restricts that, right? So that's the thesis, and that's why it happens. But it also means your reach is so much bigger when you set it up on your personal profile, and you'll get more people saying yes. So we always say to clients, do it on your personal profile 100% because you get better reach. But what we do say is that then you can, and of course at all our events, register on Zoom. So we do a Zoom registration page, as you guys would have all known because you're here. But you could also do it as a registration thing on Eventbrite or something along those lines. So the link within the event you can add as that. The problem is people never go on, or a small percentage of people do go on and register on the actual Zoom or the Eventbrite. The rest of them, you need to DM them with that link to say, hey, you got to register here, etc. We have also, because our thesis is this, right? If someone has said they are coming to our event and has gone, yes, I want to attend that, but they have missed the fact that they needed to register on Zoom, and they have publicly put their contact information on their profile with their email address, we actually, and Flora will do this for me, is she'll go through all the attendees that have said yes, she'll go find anybody that's publicly put their content on, and she will register them on their behalf. And then she'll send them a message to say, look, you had to register on Zoom. Don't worry, I've done it on your behalf. But just please remember that there is a Zoom event, not a LinkedIn Live event, right? So you can actually register for them. So when we're working for clients, and just so you guys know, we actually do all of this event marketing stuff for clients. If it sounds like a lot of work, just book one of those LinkedIn profile audits, and if you're interested at the end, I can tell you a little bit more about how we could do it for you. But the whole point of it is that you are working them as individuals to do that final registration. You're transitioning them into actually being fully registered because they might have missed it. So think of yourselves more of a concierge service of registration, as opposed to actually it being a pain. So that's what I would say. Now, here's the caveat for someone that's a bit of a ninja that loves automation. If it was on your page and it wasn't, you had great following on your page, you can actually use a Zapier integration. So when someone fills in the form, you can actually zap them automatically into email sequences and registrations and the rest of it. So you can be really ninja and make stuff go really automated off the back of the page. So if you're more that way inclined and you've got a following on your page, don't discount that way of doing it. Cool. That's all I got to say about that. Steve, over to you.
Firstly, I'd like to compliment you on your shirt, young man.
Oh, thank you, sir. I'll take that. It's a holiday club, isn't it?
Well, it seems like it.
Yeah.
One of the things you mentioned a minute ago, earlier on, Richard, was about the where you have your name, and then after your name, you have something like you've got obviously Richard Woods,
$1 million
the
sprint
sprint
coach.
coach.
Yeah.
Has LinkedIn changed the algorithm? Because a few years ago, previously, it was always frowned upon if you didn't just have your name there.
Oh, I do everything that gets frowned upon. I kind of live within the frowned upon region of LinkedIn. So I've never been too worried about that. I've never seen any reach or any issues from there. The verification thing is maybe something that might actually bring an end to that little hack. And the fact that I haven't been out, I've tried several times to register to verify. And don't get me wrong, when I was trying to verify and do my registration, I was just Richard Woods. I wasn't Richard Woods $1 Million Sprint Coach. And it's just my SIM thing in my passport doesn't work. And Jake Liddell, who's my good buddy, he loves a little LinkedIn. He actually complained to the passport office that his chip is not working and got the passport office to resend him a new passport so he could verify on LinkedIn. And I was like, I'm way too busy for that. I can't be doing that to get a little tick on my LinkedIn profile. So I'm in kind of the conundrum. The other thing that annoys me more than my particular situation is this. If you are someone that's changed your name, mainly kind of ladies who have changed their name because they got married or even divorced, then they will have a different name to their LinkedIn profile, or they will need to change the LinkedIn name, or they can't verify their name, and actually it becomes a massive pain for that because changing passports and stuff, but for change of name tends to happen at the end of a passport life cycle as opposed to halfway through. So there is some issues in there that I know has been there's actually I've got lots of people in here sort of saying it's a ball ache, has to try 30 times to make it work. So yeah, lots of people saying that is an issue. So
Yeah, I haven't verified.
Take it how you will. Look, guys, I'm going to stick into.
I haven't verified. I can't. I let my passport run out in COVID, and I can't be bothered to get it sorted.
Okay. Well, it's because you live in such a lovely part of the UK. You never want to leave. That's the problem, Steve. So I put into the chat again. Can you hear me? Can we hear me? Okay, we can hear me. Okay. I put into the chat, guys. I'm happy to take another question, but just remember it's in the chat now. Do jump on that LinkedIn profile audit so we can actually look at your particular and take some of these questions for you and spend some time with it. Thank you guys for who have already booked onto that. I've had a load of people come up on our notifications that have booked into a profile audit. So looking to learn and find out more about you guys. There's a few people in there saying done in the chat as well. So yeah, looking forward to just learning a bit more about you guys, offer you some ideas. 2 p.m. today. Okay, good to see you. Fantastic. Great. Further questions, gang. Can I help? Other ideas, questions? If you're shooting off, great to see you. I'm just happy just to hang out for another 5 minutes or so if there is any questions. Fire away now. Go for it, David. Good to see you, mate.
Yeah, how's it, Richard? I wanted to ask you, I saw something that was very interesting the other day on LinkedIn on someone's profile saying that if you've got more than 2 or 3 tabs open on LinkedIn, it's going to stop you actually getting the whole thing working, getting your post out there. Is that true or not?
I don't think so about tabs. I wouldn't say so.
No, I was just wondering because I sometimes have about 3 or 4 tabs open, and I was just wondering if maybe I should be reducing it down to 1 tab because it might be reducing the flow of my posts to going out to people. Because you're not aware of that.
Yeah, so I'm not aware of that, and I'll show you a little hack on the search. But actually, there was just something in the comments that was quite interesting about. So we're going to talk about that. But then Mark's also said in the search, just to finish off this verified conversations, that the quote from LinkedIn that says verified members get 60% more profile views and 30% more messages on average. That is just because the people who get verified are active on LinkedIn. It is an average on their activity. It is not an average based upon the additional reach or any bias that LinkedIn's giving because of the verification piece. So just to confirm, LinkedIn will tell you on average, you'll get 60% more profile views and 30% more messages. But that's actually just because the people that verified are active, and so therefore they are the profiles that get more views. So it's just a little bit of marketing spin on that verification piece.
Richard, may I ask a question? Sorry.
Ian, I'll take that question in a second, but let me just quickly talk about a quick thing about this search thing or these tabs. So guys, when you're using a free piece of content when you're using the free version of LinkedIn, you may get stopped from doing too many searches, because that's why LinkedIn will try and upgrade you to premium if you're not doing there. So when we're doing connection outreach and we're doing, say, a search like business owner plus Bedfordshire or whatever, if that is one of the searches you're doing, you might go into this and want to go and connect with these people. If you are creating more searches by you going clicking on Carl here and then go, okay, that's cool. Yeah, I look at Carl, right, we'll send a connection request. And then you go back to your search here. That just did a second search because I went to the original search and I've clicked it and I'm going back to the search that I just did, right? That's search number 2. And LinkedIn on the free version will only give you sort of a handful of searches in a day. So if you want to do less searches, I would actually recommend opening tabs by going right click, view in a new tab like this, go check out Carl here, think, yeah, dude's great, send him a connection request. And then when you send the connection request, just exit that tab. And then now you're going back to the original search. So it's only just one search. I haven't done another search. I'm just right clicking and looking at the person's profile. That's not a search. That's just clicking on someone's profile. So I'm just constantly going back to the original search. So if you do that, you can stay on the free version of LinkedIn a lot longer than having to upgrade for premium.
Thank you.
Ninja
Thank
trick.
you very much. Can I ask
Ian,
one other?
no, I'm going to go to Ian because I've got 4 minutes before my million-dollar sprinters come on track.
Good point, Richard, about getting rid of or trying to get rid of unworkable or useless connections. Okay, like the point, it's okay. I've got about 2,500 connections now. I know it's a small number. Am I just stuck with those, or is there any way I should try and reduce them?
Yeah, you could ask, you could start to unconnect with people that are not right, for sure.
But is that going through them on a one-to-one basis? I mean,
that is going through them.
Yeah, but that's okay. Okay.
That is. And actually with your business, remember, because you help business owners put together business plans, you actually have quite a broad industry sectors, because you're kind of industry sector agnostic. But it's the time in the cycle of a business, i.e. a startup business. So actually you might be thinking of disconnecting with people that are employees or people that are big senior corporate jobs, because they potentially might not be for you. So you'd be more like, where are they in their cycle?
Good. Okay. Thank you.
That's cool.
Darren,
go on then.
Sorry, it's just related to that. Is there any feature in LinkedIn, I mean, I haven't found any yet, that helps with culling connections? So, for example, if you can cull people that, say, haven't been active in the last 90 days, or if you can filter people by that, because I'm sure we've all had business development people that have said, oh, I love what you posted about this, connected with you, give you a pitch, and then I've forgotten to sort of disconnect with them, so they sit on my connections. And
what we did. Sorry, my wife just gave me a smoothie, so I feel very.
Right.
It's a good day. It's a good day when you get a smoothie. So what we used to do is that we would go council. So we would search for people that have the name council. So you can see Chief Executive Shrewsbury Council, designer something council. So we wanted to get rid of all, for whatever reason. I just found that I was connected with a lot of people that were councillors, and so we would go to here, and then I'd go first degree, and then I could see people that were all in this, and I can then actually get rid of the people that weren't quite right. Or I might go for something like accountant, because I don't want to work with accountants. And then you could do exactly the same. So that's probably the best way I could recommend doing this. But it's not like a bulk unsubscribe.
Yeah.
So that's so you can, in terms of last active, Sales Navigator gives you the option to tick a box to say, have they been active in the last 30 days, which is great when you're trying to create target audiences. Because if you do you do a search and your target audience is over 100,000 people, you tick the box to say who's been most active in the last 30 days, bam, you now get the 2,000 people that are active. You then connection with those people because you're more likely to get the connection because they're active on LinkedIn. So that's positive from that perspective. In terms of from a disconnect perspective, I'm not sure. But anyway, I need to go for a pee, guys, and I've got to start a meeting in 1 minute. So I'm going to love you all and look forward to seeing you guys on a one-to-one. And I will see you either on that